Alright, sorry about that, guys. I don't know what's going on with my computer. I think we're back live. Let's give a couple minutes so people can reconnect here. All right, we're live for the pre-market analysis. Sorry for the technical issues. I just have this new computer and we're migrating everything to this computer, so I've had some technical issues. Let's give it a couple minutes. Let's put the schedule back on so we can wait for the rest of the people that were connected to catch up. All right. I'm sorry, guys. I've had some technical issues. Came here earlier to try to offset that, but somehow they're happening right now. My computer is pretty slow. Welcome back. Sorry for the inconvenient. There we go. All right. So we have 7 people. That's okay. All right, so I was talking about the dollar. Let's get rid of the schedule, right? We're gonna review everything, and if you guys don't, if you guys want me to review something, just let me know in the chat, okay? All right, so let's jump back into the dollar. I was talking about the dollar. The dollar is in a very bullish trend, and I think the macroeconomic environment is making a squeeze in the dollar. A lot of companies, countries are in need in the dollar. That's why we have seen this. And I do expect more continuation to the upside, right? Regarding today's trading day, for me, the dollar, I do rely on the dollar for my trading, right? The dollar is 82% oppositely correlated to the equity markets, meaning if the dollar goes up, 82% of the time the market will go down, and the opposite is true as well. When the dollar goes down, 82% of the time the markets will go up. Now it's tricky because it's 82%, it's not 100%. Right? So sometimes you will see the dollar going up and the market going up, right? Now, how I do use the dollar is very efficiently, because I do wait for areas. I do wait for zones, meaning I want the dollar in the demand when the equity markets are in supply or in resistance, right? So for me to take a bullish bias in the dollar today, meaning the market will drop, I will need the dollar to break these pivots, right? Break them all up and then retest them and then continue to the upside. That's my bearish scenario for today. Okay, and if the dollar continues to come down here, and then I have this type of movement, right? Then this will mean bearishness on the market, right? Whereas if the dollar comes, all right, let me get rid of these lines. Whereas if the dollar comes to these pivots and start to drop and then continues to go down, this will mean would mean more bullishness on the equity markets, right? So those are my three likely scenarios. For me, this is a very, very important area. This was created at 10 a.m. On Friday, right? We are not in that level on the NQ or the ES. We will see when we go to the equity markets. That level is far, far off this one. Meaning, in the equity markets, and we can take a look at that right now. Friday, 10 a.m. is around here. Look where we are at. So the markets are pretty weak, right? So I do think there is some case for a drop today. Now, the dollar is negative. If you guys see here, the dollar is dropping. So if it continues to drop, then we will have some bullishness in the market. It's yet to see when the market opens how the scenario presents itself, right? So, but for me, the best bearish scenario is break of these three pivots, come back to retest, and continuation on the dollar. That will mean a supply on the NQ. Let's go to the yen. The yen is one of the assets that I like to take a look at because it's not a world reserve currency like the dollar, but is a very, very important safe haven that is used by investors when they want to run into safe assets, right? The yen has been in a very, very bearish environment, all-time lows almost, and but it's been holding. It created a triple top. Now it's back to this area. I do think it's gonna hold. The yen usually is very choppy. Now we had a very large movement yesterday, so it wouldn't surprise me if we have some bullishness today to this area, right? So pretty neutral today. I would say dollar neutral, yen neutral, those two. And I use an algorithm where I take in consideration bonds, yen, and the dollar to try to assess the direction for the day, right? Bond yields. So this is the third leg of the table here. The bond yields are pretty much, they were dropping in the morning, but is in a very bullish environment. We haven't broken these pivots here, these supplies, but I think it's very likely that we can come back up to this area. That will mean for the 10-year yield 3.27. So that will translate in some bearishness on the market because the market is not liking higher rates right now, especially tech. I've always said tech suffers the most when yields are up because a lot of startups are technology companies, and they finance their operation while they're not in profit. So meaning they're losing money, but they need financing to keep growing the company. But when the finance gets more expensive, meaning bond yields go up, loan rates are going up too. So they have to spend more on loans, meaning less profits, less growing, and they suffer more than like a blue chip company or a large company, right? Like Apple and so on. So yields are pretty bullish today. We haven't broken any high though. We were dropping and then we made back all the losses, right? A very curious chart that is not in the schedule, but I like to check all the time, is the euro dollar, right? The dollar index is composed by 50% of the euro dollar, and the euro dollar has a lot of influence. This is the spot market. The index is a compound of other currencies, 6 currencies or 7 currencies. So is an average number, right? This one is a spot market. So I don't have too much supply on the spot market for the euro dollar. That means more downside on the dollar, right? Do I think it's a free pathway to the upside? I don't think so. There are some supplies along the way, but where it is right now, I don't think there's a lot of supply. There 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks, right? 4 weeks here to the upside that they're creating resistance right there. But after this point right here, um, if we break to the upside, I think that will translate for more downside on the dollar and more upside on the equity market, right? Right now it's dropping, meaning the dollar is recovering and the equity markets are dropping a little bit, right? Just to throw that out. All right, so after this, let's go to the VIX. The VIX is a very, very important gauge that I use. I don't use it on my day trading per se, but in this pre-market analysis, I like to see it because I want to assess the direction, right, for the day. So the VIX came, and this is one pattern that I'm, started to notice from days ago. It drops, it create a pivot, drops again and explode. Drops, create a pivot, drops again and explode. Drops, create a pivot, drops again and explode. Drops, create a pivot, drops again and explode. It didn't drop enough here, but now we had the drop, created a pivot, and it started to go up. So my assessment here is, and my assessment is that, all right, we could test this high right here, right? We didn't test it on the overnight. We were close, but not. So we could come back here and then probably today come up here, or even drop today, right? And the next day continue to go up, or either go up from here. So the more likely scenario for me is for this thing to continue to go up. The real supply for me is 28.92, right? That's the real significant supply for me. If we happen to have the VIX going up today, that will translate in more bearishness on the market. Like I've said, we probably have a down day today here, and we will have Friday we have NFP probably, and we will hold this area till Friday. Who knows? Okay, let's keep going here. So let's see what the schedule says. All right, so bond yields, VIX. All right, let's go to the crude oil. And real quick, I don't want to spend too much time here. On crude oil, we are dropping today. That's very positive for the market, but we created this pivot, we broke it a little bit, and then we are starting to test right here. If we don't break this low to the downside, I think it's a pretty bullish environment for the for oil. Metals pretty much flat. and they depend a lot on the dollar, so we don't spend too much time here on metals, right? Let's go to the real meat, which is the ES. All right, this is this is 30 minute. Let's go to the daily. Here is a 200 moving average. We just tapped it and started to fall from there. I don't use moving average for my day trading, but I like them on the daily chart sometimes to see how algorithms are trading. So for me, the white line right here is a pretty important area of supply. And let's go to the 30 minute. You have this pivot right here. 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 But the important one for me is this one. This is the one that I will be taking. Well, I will be taking in the NASDAQ if we happen to come back up. The NASDAQ has the same area, right? And this gives me the location, right? Meaning a good retracement to the upside, a nice pivot. Here, buyers were trying to hold these all these pivots, right? But they failed. They couldn't do it. Now, a lot of people are on the water here. Let me move this here. A lot of people are on the water here, and they are in losing positions. So this is a very good area to continue to go down, right? Now, we need to see how this thing breaks to the upside, because if it's like too choppy of a movement, we might have some demand created around these pivots, right? So in theory, I would like a sharp move to the upside, meaning all these people are being squeezed. So there's no real buyer here. It was just a void or a vacuum, right, to the upside. That's ideal what I want. All right, so that's the ES. I'm watching the bearish scenario. For the bullish scenario, I do have this pivot here. Let's put it here. Is already tested. This is a demand created at, there we go, 10 a.m. So all this is a bullish area. This is pre-market, so we might test this low, break a little bit, and all the orders can be in this candle. Okay. There you go. Now, we need to pay attention to what time the formations were created. Hence says up today. What do you mean? Good morning, Aaron. Up today, the markets are. I'll tell you. It's up today, not much, like 0.5% or less, right? There's a bullish case, like I've said, like we came back to this pivot, retested, and now we're going back up. Now I'm focused on the bearish case of the market. I think we could have some bearishness. The VIX is telling me that it has more upside. The bond yields have more upside. So those two are telling me that the market might drop today. Now the dollar is neutral, so we could have a move in either direction for the dollar, either up or down, and that will be affecting the equity markets. And the yen obviously is neutral, like every day pretty much. But the yen neutral does not mean that the market is going to go up or down. I mean, we have to wait for the market to open, right? I like this area, like I've said, in the ES because of all these pivots here. This is a very bullish sign right here, that yesterday we had a neutral candle. So we could have a retracement to the upside. But for me, I'm focusing on this short right here, right? And why? Because I have the VIX and I do have the bond yields, right? All right, so let's continue. Let's go to the NQ. And we might have to start these sessions a little bit earlier, so we don't have to rush. It's 9:15 already. Oh, you know what? Yes, I supposed to put trading futures live, but I'm gonna have that up by the end of the week. I'm sorry about that. Sorry, but I wasn't live. Somehow something happened, and then I had to reconnect, and I had a template, and I put the template so fast that I didn't realize I had my personal website right there. But it's gonna be up for I think probably Friday. I have some blogs, articles that I've written, and stuff. Oh no, no. Jorge is gonna take some time off, Aaron. Um, um, if you want me to reach him, just let me know or send him an email. jwstyletrading@gmail.com. All right, same thing for the NQ. For the NQ, I do have these pivots here. So this area, 12,745 to 892. It's a very important area of supply. Now, the case on the NQ is not, for me, is more bullish in the ES because I have a pivot, this pivot right here, right? We broke this pivot on the ES. The ES is holding right here. The NQ already broke to the downside. So that's why I'm expecting more downside on the market, right? Now, if you guys don't know my trading, I am very short-term trader oriented. I do trade on the 500 volume share bar. So I will pay attention to the internals for me to take a trade. You guys can watch my videos, all the shorts with white background. Those are my trades. So I do have this area, the 400 on the Nasdaq to the long side, and a 745 to the short side, right? We're not near of this 745, we just 566 or something. Ideally, I will have a sharp move to the upside, so I don't have any like sideways movement before, meaning demands being created that can screw my trade. All right, I'm gonna go over very fast over the stocks. Apple is right here. We haven't filled the gap, so if we happen to fill this gap, that will mean the equity markets will go up. But now we haven't broken yesterday's high. We're gonna open on the top of yesterday's high. We certainly have some demand right here that were tested yesterday. But I do think if we happen to fill this gap, we close it, and then we have this pivot, 2 pivot, 3 resistance point that are gonna influence Apple to the downside, right? We held this gap though. So that's Apple. Microsoft, no, sorry, this is Amazon. we haven't filled the entire gap yet. So I do think these have a lot of downside potential to the downside. And Tesla has been very choppy since the split. Now Tesla does have a very bullish case right here. It's holding this pivot. It's holding this pivot. This pivot now held yesterday. So I think Tesla has some room to go up, at least up to this point, right? So I do have Apple, which is the largest company in the stock market, with like better setup to the short side, whereas and Amazon too. Now Tesla does have some room to go up, right? So with that, I'm gonna wrap up the pre-market analysis, and I'm going to try to do this a little bit earlier so we have more room, more time, and do this in a better way. Okay, so see you guys in 10 minutes for the live training session.